brothers and sisters, but the elder is saying, listen, read what they did so that you can understand. Okay, I have traveled across the length and breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage, and therefore...
Please wait right there. Firstly, let's point out to the listeners, when he says country, he means the continent. He says he hasn't seen beggary, he hasn't seen thievery, he's met people of such high moral values. I like where he's a white, racist British man of 18 something, understanding in the context of how they saw us at the time. But he says this is because of their spirituality, that's where he starts, and their culture. I've always argued you can't separate the two. Our spirituality is lived out through the culture. We don't have a Bible. That's why culture is so important. That's why we force people with a culture, because for us, if we are breaking the cultural code, we are breaking the spiritual code. So our culture is sacred because that's the vehicle of the spirituality. But I like it, Ndugu, and you're going to read further, my sister, because he locates where all our welfare, our well-being, our morality, our spirit, our superiority over them at the time, because he accepts that I haven't seen it anywhere else, including Britain itself. He says it's because of their spirituality, it's because of their culture. Please read further.
I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture. For if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation.
There's another let in there that it's making my stomach grumble. He says, if we lose our spirituality and our culture, what are we losing? Our self-esteem.
We lose ourselves. We lose our self-identity.
When we lose that, we are going to be it's like the making of a colonized person, a truly dominated people. Aren't we a dominated people today?
Yes.
Yes, we are. We are.
It doesn't make sense to me why we produce the raw materials for the world, but we are the lowly of the creatures. Our raw materials, our energy, our oil, nothing of ours. Our coffee, ordinary coffee beans, does not translate to wealth or to breakfast at the table for the people who are growing those coffee beans. Starbucks makes more money out of coffee than coffee growers in Burundi, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in Ethiopia, wherever you find coffee beans in this continent. Belgian chocolate is more famous than the coffee beans that make it. Where do those coffee beans come from? Burundi, Rwanda, and the other African places. Swiss chocolate, where do they get the coffee beans from? So honestly, I stopped you and I said, reread it when you said they say, don't change us. Don't tell us what to do. I read the comments, even in the last one I did with Alpha House. They say, leave Christianity alone. But it's not for me to leave Christianity alone. Christianity should leave African spirituality alone. They were the first to demonize us. They were the first to tell us that it's not spirituality, it's demonism. They were the first to tell us that Saronia's shape-shifting was demonic, that you can't shape-shift into anything, it's satanic. They were the first to tell us we don't have languages, it's just unintelligible sounds. They were the first to tell us that black is ugly. They were the first to tell us the Bantu buttocks protrude from their bodies. Their hips are falling off their bodies. I'm not making these things up.
Yeah.
So when you react to us trying to put African spirituality and culture back on the map, and your reaction is leave Christianity alone, believe what you believe without demonizing others. We are not demonizing anything. We are merely just correcting the picture. That's like you saying deal with racism, but don't deal with white supremacy. How am I going to separate the two? How am I going to do that? Christianity is a state religion. Easter is a public holiday in Africa, but African Day is not. It's only in 4 African countries, I think, if not 5, including mine. It's not a public holiday. But even Ascension Day is a public holiday in some African countries. Ramadan is a public holiday, but Africa Day is not. So how do you expect us to deal with this mental slavery that Macaulay suggested should happen in this continent for us to be properly colonized? How do we deal with it if we don't point you to the source of what caused it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.